And I get up and I start powering through. I went like a mile the wrong way. And talk about like something that just deflates you. You're hobbling out of the canyon. You're struggling.
You're listening to the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, the voice of Grand Canyon hiking. Presented by hiKin, hiking packs and gear built to help you hike your best hike. Here's your guide, Brian Special.
Well, I can't get enough of the inspirational stories and the people behind them that we have on this show. And we've got another one this time that I got to admit I never saw coming. A couple of years ago on my almost daily hikes up Black Mountain here in Cave Creek, Arizona, I started seeing a new face show up. And then I saw that new face become a familiar face as Steve Martin became a bona fide Black Mountain regular. At first, now, I would pass Steve on the way up the mountain, but it didn't take long before he worked himself into shape to the point that he was no longer catchable. And it wasn't long after that he was a guy you did not want to see coming up behind you because you knew you would have to work hard if you wanted to stay out in front. Yes, there are unspoken egos working on Black Mountain every single day, and probably every mountain in America for that matter. You know, it's always cool to see progressions like that, though, and feel someone's confidence grow, whether it be as they progress from rim to river to rim in the Grand Canyon, or rim to a double crossing, or just on your local mountain or trail. It is inspiring, and you know there is a story behind it. Now, as you might imagine, as we got to know Steve, Coach Arnie and I would inevitably get the canyon on his mind. We never stopped talking about it, after all. And now, Steve has done some things below the rim and on some other iconic day hikes away from the canyon that I have a hard time wrapping my head around. You are going to love this one, the motivational and inspirational Steve Martin. And when you have a famous name like that, you know that I'm going to ask you about it. This was recorded on the Black Mountain Summit on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, powered by hiKin.
You know, the funny thing is I'm actually named after my dad. And so when I started telling people that actually opened their eyes quite a bit, because then you're talking about that age range of the actual Steve Martin. So yeah, we'd go on vacations down to like the Bahamas and places where people knew the name but didn't really know the face, and my dad would always play it off and, yeah, I'll give you my autograph and all that type of stuff. So, yeah, it's been an interesting name. It's been great, and definitely got some attention more back in the day.
Yeah. So where did all this this crazy hiking stuff start for you? Because I remember, it's probably been 3 or 4 years now, when you first started, I think, coming here to Black Mountain, and I've kind of watched your progression just over the years, and now you are just an absolute beast. When did it start for you, and kind of why?
Yeah, look, Black Mountain started for me, I think it was, around February, maybe 24. I started doing it a little bit more. So
only 2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years, but pretty routine, But it started out as a training thing for me, and really, I'm a big hunter, right? And so I got invited to a trip over to New Zealand, which is the Southern Alps, and we wanted to go after Himalayan tahr, which is kind of like their mountain goat or sheep. So a lot of people take helicopters up, and we wanted to do it on foot, me and my buddy. So I started training for that, and I found Black Mountain, which is kind of in my backyard, convenient.
Yeah.
And started doing that. But then it evolved, right? I mean, that's when I first started seeing you guys up here. And then I really just started kind of training for life, right? You start getting into it, and you want to continue to do these things and these adventures as we get older. And so I just kind of stuck with it.
You're 47 now, so you would have been, 44, 45 when you started. Is it something that just kind of came out of nowhere and it was inspired by that hunt?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always loved the outdoors, and that's kind of the hunting aspect, right? People that don't hunt probably don't realize that a lot of it is you're just out in the wild, right? You're just not on a trail.
Yeah, you don't think of it as being physical.
Correct. And it is. It's immensely physical, right? And so you're carrying a lot more gear, and you're going off trail. I mean, you're making your own trail. You're looking at maps and you're navigating, and you're always trying to see what's over the next mountain ridge. And so it's that kind of, I've always had that that drive for the exploration and the adventure and the outdoors. I just never really got into the actual hiking aspect. I don't know how I missed that. Maybe just because I was busy with the other aspects, but this was kind of the first introduction to it. Really, it was you and Coach Arnie, quite frankly. I mean, coming up here routinely, started seeing you guys, And then, talking more and more, and you guys talking about the canyon and, bringing that up. And I had, my buddy Andy that I trained with up here. He was actually training to do an R3.
Yeah, that's right, at that time.
Yep. And so I remember coming down. I was only doing singles up here, which is still, a challenge, right? And he's like, he was turning around to go do another. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm training for the R3. I'm going to do 3 of these today or whatever it was, right? And I was like...
Kind of mind-blowing, right?
Yeah. But I was like, okay, I'll do another. Like, it's just one of those things you never thought to do. And, you start surrounding yourself with people that are, better than you and doing more. And it kind of opens your eyes to, I never thought about that, right?
Yeah. And that sounds kind of cool.
It does. It sounds great, right? And you're up for a challenge and doing hard things.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that even with me, with Coach Arnie, when I met him up here, and he had that shirt on that said, rim to rim to rim. When we started, it was dark. When we finished, it was dark. And it's one of those things that just kind of sounds like, wow, that sounds like a long, hard day. It sounds miserable. Now I kind of want to hear more about it and maybe do it. And it seems like you buy right into that kind of thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, look, I'd never had a desire to do anything crazy like that, right? I mean, historically, it's like, who wants to hike 45 miles? It's like, no, that doesn't really sound great, right? It's not at the top of my list. But then you start getting into it and understanding it more and, facing those challenges and challenging yourself is really what it comes down to.
And you get in better shape. And so you start to see more things become possible.
Yes. And so getting in better shape, you're absolutely right. And look, that's kind of a big driver for me. I'm fortunate, my mom and my stepdad, Larry, he's 79 now and she's 70 and they travel the world. I mean, they have stayed in great shape and they do stuff nonstop. I mean, he's one of my good, hunting partners, right? So, we'll go on backpack, trips and on horseback up in Wyoming and, he's 76 at that time and just doing all this stuff. And it's like, I've always admired that with him. But I've also seen that he puts in the work. And so when they come to visit, he's up doing crunches in the morning and he's doing stretches and like it takes work, to stay fit like that.
It takes mental fortitude.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the mental aspect is tremendous.
How inspiring. And so you were just totally inspired by that, by Larry.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. It's like, I want to live that life, right? And you see a lot of other people, in their 50s even that just kind of give up on that aspect, right? And it's like, no, there's a lot of life left to live and a lot to do, and you can do it, right?
I mean, even if you want to start now in your 50s, 60s, 70s, there's no reason why you couldn't. Like if you were going in the wrong direction and you're trending toward not being a Larry, it's not too late to become a Larry, right?
For sure. I mean, look, I was 45 when I started this. I've always been in decent shape and, I've lifted weights and things, but I wasn't in like a great physical fitness shape, right? And fit for life, so to speak, right? And I remember you guys even asking me kind of in the beginning, it's like, what are you training for? Because you see somebody up here every day. It's like, what are you training for?
Yeah, when somebody's doing more than multiples like you were doing.
It's like, and it's like my answer was life, and it really was, right?
It's a great answer.
And then it leads to other things, of course.
Yeah, as we've seen with you to the nth degree. It's funny because I remember very vividly, honestly, when you first started coming up here, and I think you'd call me Smoke because you thought I was fast, and now you're up here just kicking my butt all over the place. How much confidence does that give you when you reach a point where you pick you pick someone or something that you didn't think that you would get to, and then you surpass it? I mean, that's got to give you incredible confidence and make you think that, anything's possible.
Yeah, you're right. It does. I mean, and that's kind of the reward to it, right? But you always got to stay humble too, right? I mean, and there's always people that are better.
Oh, always.
I mean, but that's the good thing, right? And you surround yourself with those people and, it drives you to get better, right? So, I mean, you and Arnie and Eric and all the guys up here that, just kill it. It helps.
So how did you get inspired to do rim to rim to rim? Because, my God, and this speaks to who Steve is. He'll just go do something. Like, it's one of those things where he's building towards something, and then you see him the next time, and he's like, I just went and did it. And I think that was like that when you did your first rim to rim to rim. What inspired you to do it? What made you think you could do it? And how much canyon experience did you have before you did it? Because this was not very long after you really started to get into this stuff and take it seriously.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's kind of the what not to do, right?
We like those stories, Stevie.
But yeah, so I mean, look, I was training up here, and you guys had been talking about it, and Andy, who I mentioned before, was training for it, and I think he was going to do it in May. And the North Rim was still closed at this point. I think it was April maybe. And you'd been telling me, hey, just go do a rim to river. You haven't been to the canyon. So I'd never been to the canyon before. I mean, I've been to the rim and looked down and brought the kids when they're young and all that, but never been below, right? And so you guys kept talking about it, and people were training for it. And, I'd been up here quite a bit. I think at that point I'd worked myself up to maybe seven laps on black.
Good
right?
Lord.
So, I was comfortable with my physical fitness that I could do it going down to the river, right? And so I think it was a last minute thing, and my son had a scouting event or something, so I dropped him off on a Friday night, and he wasn't going to be back for until Sunday. So I just decided, hey, look, tomorrow's going to be a little cooler. Get up early, drive up to the canyon, go do a rim to river, check it out, and kind of come back out. So that was the plan. I had I've had a lot of experience in the wilderness, and I stay totally calm in that environment, and I'm good on my own. So I went up and got on the bus and, went over. I think I parked at Bright Angel and took the bus over to the South Kaibab Trailhead. And on the bus, there was a gentleman that was a little older, in great shape, but he was talking about how he just did an R3 the night before. And so I'm like, huh, really? And, he was talking about he did it in like 15 hours or something. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, hey.
Oh, no.
That just kind of put it in my head like, well, maybe I just think about going a little further. Now, I still hadn't committed in my mind, but that's what kind of planted the seed.
It was in the back of your mind. Oh, no.
Yeah, it started it, right? And so, anyway, get down there, and it's just amazing, the canyon. And you guys explained it like that, and it's so true. It's just, it's inspiring, and it sucks you in, right? Once you start going down and you just see it, and it's beautiful, and you just, I was doing good. I felt good. I got to the...
What time of year was this?
This was, I think it was the very end of March or the...
Okay, so the weather was still... There was no heat to worry about. Nothing like that.
No, I mean, but I was aware of the heat, right? Because that's one of the things you guys talk about a lot, and it's true. It's dangerous, right? And so this day in particular was a little cooler, and so that was another aspect of it. I got the Phantom, and I'm like, hey, it's still cool, and like, let's just keep going a little bit. And I'm like, all right, let's go a little further, right? And then
one of those things.
Yeah, one of those. But then, the further I got, the more I had it in my mind. I'm like, okay, let's just do this thing.
Oh, no.
Let's just do it. I had enough food, water, obviously, feeling good. But it was a commitment too, right? Because the North Rim was closed, so you couldn't bail out anyway, right? I mean, it's like once you're in, you're in.
So you get to Phantom, and you're still feeling good. So you survive the downhill, because the downhill beats the heck out of me often. And I don't know if you had poles. You'd never done canyon hiking before, where it was down first and then up second. But you still were feeling good. So you had gotten yourself sucked in, and you thought, I'm just gonna keep going and see how far I could go. But were you in the back of your mind, even at that point, as you left Phantom and you started to go into the box, were you thinking like, I'm just gonna go for this, or I'm just gonna see how far I'm gonna make it?
Look, the gentleman on the bus put it in my mind, right? And so I had it there. It was one of those, I'm going to see how far I'm going to go a ways and see how I feel, right? And I was still feeling good. And so I just decided to go for it. And then once you get to a certain point, it's like all or nothing, right? I mean, I'm either going to turn around here or I'm going to keep going, and you make that decision. And I was in it at that point. So, and I did good. Like, I mean, hey, the one thing that started happening, that I wasn't prepared for, was foot issues. And so, I started getting some hot spots and blisters and things, and I took care of them, but not as quick as I should have. And I played a little too much of the mental toughness game, because a lot of things are mental that you need to push through, but there's some physical aspects that you absolutely need to take care of, right? And so I still pushed through that, and I was good. I mean, look, I made it to the North Rim, I think, in 9 hours, and that was taking, breaks and lunch and things and whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is good. If I can make it back in 9, I'm all right. But, as soon as I started down, from the North Rim, I had this crazy pain in like my hip. It was weird. Like I'd never felt it before. And, come to find out after the fact, it's that IT band. And what I think happened was, I had the blister issue that I was powering through. But I think my gait was off just enough that it started impacting that IT band.
Started compensating.
Oh, man. And like, that's something I'd never felt before, right? Like never. Didn't even know existed, right? So I literally like hobbled down and out of that canyon, right? I mean, and it was brutal. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a challenge, right? I mean,
and what time is this now? You're over there in 9 hours. March, the days aren't crazy long. So was it dark yet?
Oh yeah, it was dark. It was getting dark at the North Rim, and I ate a sandwich up there.
So you made it all the way across in daylight.
Yeah,
and then you were starting down in the dark.
Yeah, so it was a beautiful trip. The whole thing in daylight, right? And then starting down in the dark, yeah.
Yeah, so you knew you were going to have to hike through the night. Was that something you were prepared for?
Yeah, so I had battery backups and, I had headlamps. And look, quite frankly, the other mistake I probably had was carrying close to 30 pounds, right? And that comes from, that's the hunter in me and the prepared and have all the stuff. I mean, I wasn't worried about being out there. That was, least of my worries, right? So, but that extra weight and just not really thinking that through definitely took a toll too.
And so you start down the North Rim, and it sounds like almost you get the feeling of like, I'm not feeling right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just hobbling really, and
you got a long way to go.
A long way to go.
There's a reason serious Grand Canyon hikers don't stop every mile. Our hiking packs use a front access harness with 6 pockets, so fuel, hydration, essentials all stay within reach. You get to keep your rhythm without breaks. Our Rim-to-Rim pack and Canyon Elite hiking packs both carry 25 liters. Choose Canyon Elite for your longer days. It's got a hip belt. Hike without stopping and hike your best hike at hikin.club. That's HIKIN.club.
But I wasn't panicked. It was like, okay, well, we're going to keep rolling. And, I'd stop to rest and, probably a good thing was it was cold. So, it couldn't stop very long because you're going to start getting really cold. So it kept me moving and just kind of powered through it, right? I mean, it was a mental thing. It was a physical kind of limitation, but it just kept moving. And I never panicked at all. The only part that was a little concerning to me is like, hey, am I going to make it back in time to pick up my son when he gets back from scouts, right? Like this turned into a little longer than I expected. But other than that, I really wasn't too worried.
How was it hiking in the dark? I would imagine your first time on those trails the trails are easy to follow for the most part, but it wouldn't be crazy difficult to take a wrong turn in the dark. I mean, was there even anyone else out there since, the North Rim was closed? Did you pass anyone or did you just feel like you were out there by yourself?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I like going in past people, like every hour or whatever it is, right? You had people running the trails and all that. And, I think it was around 5:00 p.m. that I passed a ranger that was coming down from the North Rim. And he was kind of questioning me, I think probably making sure I was all right and all that. And nice guy. And but that's the last person I saw until like 6 a.m. the next morning. Yeah, so there was nobody on the trail at all after that. And so I wasn't worried about, getting lost, and I'm not worried about the dark. I mean, look, at night by yourself in the wilderness, things can get a little weird, but again, kind of my background with the hunting and experience out there, that wasn't a factor. But I will say, look, after 20 hours or whatever it is on the trail and pushing your body and, your mind, I got to Phantom and I sat down on a bench. And I remember this distinctly, and there was like some thorns or stickers or something, and it hit my back because I was going to lay down for a second. And there was another bench directly across from it, so I just jumped up quick and laid on that one. Well, again, it gets cold, so you kind of jump up, and I'm like, all right, I'm at Phantom. I was like, I'm going to power through this. Let's go, energy.
So you rested for a few minutes or what?
Yeah, a few minutes, not long, probably 5-7 minutes, whatever that is, right? But like, I just get up and I start trucking. Well, I come up to the sign that's pointing like forward and says like North Rim.
Oh no.
So since I switched benches, wasn't paying attention, exhausted, and I get up and I start powering through, I went like a mile the wrong way And talk about like something that just deflates you. You're hobbling out of the canyon. You're struggling, and you think you're doing good and powering through, and you're like, oh, that was just a punch.
Thank God that sign was there. Who knows how far you would have made it?
Yeah, honestly, right? I mean,
especially being unfamiliar.
Oh yeah, unfamiliar. That mental state, the exhaustion. Trying to rush, and yeah, for sure.
So you had to turn around, and what would you think as you walked back past those benches again?
I was just beating myself up. It was ridiculous. It's just almost embarrassing. It's like, what did you do? But look, that you're just exhausted, right? And that's where you got to be careful, because the mental state isn't, always there. You're not quite as sharp, right? And
absolutely. Yeah. Did you ever hallucinate or anything like that?
No, I didn't get that far. Fortunately, I stayed hydrated and I had plenty of nutrition. I used one of the Garmin watches, right? And I set that to kind of a 500 calorie burn notification. So that's how I kind of kept food going, right? Because you're not hungry usually. So that helped. And so, all in all, I was doing pretty good.
So now the sun's coming up?
Yeah, sun's coming up, climbing out.
That breathes life into you, doesn't it? Especially after being in the dark for so long in March. I mean, so many hours of darkness. When that sun comes up, it just feels kind of rejuvenates you a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
And were you at Phantom when that started to happen, or had you started across the bridge or anything like that?
It was getting gray at Phantom, the second time at Phantom, I guess, right? When I came back.
Yeah, right.
When I came back, yeah, third time, right? Coming back. After that little kind of detour. So yeah, it was getting gray, and then I once I got across the bridge, I ran into some of the cowboys, right? The guys that are running the mules and stuff. But I think it was the trail crew, because I ran into them, the day before. They stopped and were talking to me, and they're like, "Man, did you camp at Cottonwood or something?" And I was like, "No, man, they're like, "You went to the North Rim. What are you doing?" So anyway, that was kind of a boost, just talking to them. And then, they were actually coming up. They were bringing a train up, and they would pass me, and then they would stop, and I would pass them, and so we kind of piggybacked the way up, and so that was kind of helpful, just talking to them and getting up out of there. But it was a challenge, no doubt.
So what were you thinking at that point? Because you'd been out there a long time. You started up Devil's Corkscrew. You did take Bright Angel out, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you were taking South Kaibab.
Yeah, I was gonna take Bright Angel, but then I got to a point where I was like, look, that's a little bit longer. Everything else, I was like, I just need to get out of here.
The rationalizing begins.
Well, and it was crazy.
It's true,
because the uphill, that IT band or whatever issue I was having, it hurt a lot more on the flat than it did uphill. And so I'm like, I'm just going to keep trucking out. And I did have poles. I'd never hiked with poles before, never practiced with them either. And I didn't use them on the downhill, but on the uphill, absolutely, especially with that, was huge, right? And so that helped me immensely.
And you didn't know any better. You didn't know that how much more difficult South Kaibab would be than Bright Angel. And look, I'm like you. If it's the nice time of the year, never in the summer, never when there's any heat to worry about because of the exposure and the lack of water. But if it's the nice time of the year, and I'm doing an R3 or a rim to rim from the north side, I'm taking South Kaibab out because of what you just said. At the end of the day, it's still 2.5 miles shorter.
Yep.
It's more elevation, but it's shorter. And with you not even having Bright Angel to compare it to, I mean, that was probably the right call. But I mean, as soon as you come out of that bridge, the tunnel after Black Bridge, I mean, you're just going straight up that thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's relentless, right? I mean, it really is. It's like, is this ever going to end? And it's just, again, it's that mental piece. It's like one foot in front of the other. You can't think too far ahead, right? It's just, you keep moving, keep going, try to pace yourself. But yeah, it's a long hike out.
It is. I've always I've had so many miserable experiences coming up South Kaibab, especially on R3s where I've never gotten out clean. But you just kind of say to yourself, who cares? No one's going to feel sorry for me. I've gotten myself into this mess, so I might as well, suck it up and get myself out of this mess.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, there was never a point where I thought even crossed my mind of, asking for help or anything else. It's like, you're right. You get yourself into it. You know what you're doing. you just gotta keep sucking it up and get out of it, right?
But having never even ascended South Kaibab, you didn't have any like perspective on how far you had to go. So I've got to imagine that, man, at a certain point, especially maybe after Skeleton Point, when you still have 3 miles to go and you're going up those endless steps, those water bars, the mule ruts, it's just got to feel endless at that point. You're so tired.
Oh, for sure. And I'll tell you, that was one thing. Black Mountain's a rough trail, right? And you guys always said it's rougher than the canyon and all that, and it is. But that canyon trail, it's long, and those, like the mule steps or whatever they are, right? All the wood steps in there, that's just not made for a human stride, right? Exactly. And so it's so off, and like that gets so old after that long period of time. That was another challenge, another piece of it, right?
Yeah, you come around a corner and you look up and you're like, oh no, there's another long stretch of nothing but those endless, incessant South Kaibab steps. But you eventually make it. I imagine. I'm curious what the feeling was, because you get to the end, you get past Uwap Point, so you're getting close. You're inside a mile, and then you get to the chimney, the last set of switchbacks there before you get to the top of South Kaibab. What was that feeling like?
It's great because the end is in sight, right? Yes. And you're there, but it's not an easy end either, right? And it's always interesting because at that point it's light out, it's later morning, right? And it took me forever to get out, and you got people coming down with full of energy and like everything else, and you're literally dragging out, right? And so that was kind of an interesting piece of it. But yeah, it's super rewarding. Look, I mean, it's funny though, because you crawl out of there and you're like, I'm never doing that again.
Never.
Right? Like I'm not. I barely survived it. And then, a few days later, you start healing up and feeling better, and you're already kind of planning the next one.
Yeah, usually for me, it's on the drive home.
Yeah, there you go.
You finish, and it's just like, why would I do that? That was pure misery. But there's something about it. I mean, looking back on that rough R3, it had to do something for you, like mentally, right? Like, God, I can do hard things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's absolutely it. And that was a big part of it, right? Look, everybody, there's different parts of everybody's life, right? And life's going to kick you in the teeth at different times. And, I got kicked in the teeth a couple times, right? In that past year, just random different things, just part of life. And, it was one of those, I'm going to start fighting back. And that's part of the training and part of everything else. It's like, I'm going to get strong. I'm going to do more. I'm going to challenge myself. And that was a great challenge. Yes, I probably pushed it a little far, and I could have, probably staged myself into that better, doing maybe the rim to river and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, I was pretty confident I can do it, and I pushed through it, right? So that was a huge success for me personally.
Yeah, we find our motivations in personal places, but whatever it takes. This is awesome. I haven't mentioned yet that we are sitting up here at the top of Black Mountain on the south side of it, and we've got all this steep, jagged black shale all around us, and we've got all these saguaros we're looking down on. We're looking down on Carefree, Cave Creek, Phoenix. We can see all the way out there to University of Phoenix Stadium, downtown Phoenix. Man, this is just awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's the best. Black is the best. We always talk about Black being a great training mountain for the Grand Canyon. We'll see Coach Arnie coming back up here in a second. It's his Saturday at the office. You've learned a lot, I think, from paying attention to what Coach is doing, and you guys have developed a pretty good, a pretty neat friendship over the past few months.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a great guy, man. And like, I'd heard about him, through your podcasts and different things before I actually met him and got to know him well. And, you guys always said, hey, he's a great guy. If you call him, he'll answer. And he does, right? I mean, he cares about people, and, he's a coach, and he takes it to heart, and he's trying to make everybody better, right? And, you got to have the drive, and I think he sees that in people, and he'll take that and steer you in the right direction. So, yeah, it was great kind of, and seeing him do the crazy stuff that he does, right? I mean,
you guys are kind of made for each other, if I'm being honest.
It's like, in R5, it's like, you did what? Like, how did you do that, right? And it's just amazing. And then, with him, this past year, I was going to get ready to go do the Cactus to Clouds. I wanted to do that because the canyon was closed. And so I wanted to test myself again. I was going to go do it, solo and all that.
Well, tell us what Cactus to Clouds is all about, because that's another gnarly hike. Not the Grand Canyon, but something that is on that level.
Yeah, so that I found that I think through Coach, looking for something else hard to do, and he told me about that. So that's out in Palm Springs, and so you start out almost at sea level. Maybe it's like 400 feet elevation, and so desert, right? And so heat's a big thing there too, and timing and everything else. And that's when you hike up to the top of the San Jacinto Peak, right? And so starting in Palm Springs, and it's a long hike up, and you're climbing over 10,000 feet. And it's not up and down; it's straight up, right? You're just going up, and
that's more than double going up South Kaibab. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and it's wild because you start in a desert, and then you go up through, you get into the scrub brush stuff, and you get up into the tall pines, and then you get up above the pines, and kind of the high alpine stuff, and so that's the whole Cactus to Clouds, right? Starting in the cactus, getting up in the clouds, and so that was one I was getting ready to do, and one day I was just like, hey, I'm going to see how many reps I can do on black just to get ready and make sure I can do the elevation. And so, it was a Saturday because Coach was up here, and so we were chatting and did a few together and all that, and he took off, and I just kept rolling, and I ended up texting him, and I'm like, hey, man, I was like, I'm still up here, still going, and he's like, how many you do? And I was like, well, I'm on 8 now. I was thinking about 10, but I might be about done.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course he writes back, he's like, oh, you're thinking about 10 because that's what I did. And I was like, oh man, now I got to do 10.
You were doomed at that point.
That's it. So had to turn around and keep going. But, look, it is a mental thing.
That's insane. That is insane. Just for people to understand, black has about 1,200 vertical feet of elevation gain and then loss on the way back down. The trail is only about 85 100ths of a mile from the trailhead to the top, so it's short, but that shows you how nasty and gnarly and steep that it is. So to do that 10 times back to back, what are you doing?
I don't know. That's one of the, well, look, that's the piece. Look, for me, I got to always break it down in the pieces and chunks, right? And so it's like, even on the second lap, right? You do one, and on the second, I've just got to say to myself, hey, look, you take one step forward, you're more than halfway there, right? And so just every lap, kind of breaking it down and just making yourself that one foot in front of the other. But yeah, you get people like Coach, and like quite frankly, you and everybody else up here that kind of inspires you to do a little bit more. It's like, all right, I thought 8 was pretty great, right? And then Coach is like, I did 10, and it's like, okay, I could do 2 more.
Yeah, my inspiration only goes so far, Steve. I'm not inspired to do 10. I'm not inspired to do 8. I'm not inspired to do 5. I'll do a couple, but that's my limit. So you guys, through that, you guys have developed this cool relationship, as I was mentioning, and you went up and did a Cactus to Clouds. You had planned to do Cactus to Clouds to Cactus, but some things came up. So Coach put it in your head that he was going to go do Cactus to Clouds with you, and again, you guys being cut from the same cloth in terms of your just wildness, most people go Cactus to Clouds at 10,000 feet of elevation. Then they come back down to, I guess, where the tram is, where the tourists come up from Palm Springs, and they take the tram down. That's what most normal people do. But you and Coach decided to do Cactus to Clouds to Cactus, and you decide that you're going to do it together. And when I hear this, I see nothing but trouble brewing, Steve.
Yeah. So I was going to do that originally. That was my plan, to do the Cactus to Clouds to Cactus, but I forgot the charger to my phone. And so you need to navigate with a phone on that one. So they call it a route, not a trail. So it's not marked like a trail. You can find it and all that, but you really need all trails or using something, some sort of GPS. So and when I was going to come back down, it would have been dark. So my phone was dead. I asked a ranger to borrow a charging cable. I had a battery backup. I just forgot my cable. And they're like, no. And I asked for a map, and he showed me a map, and he pointed to the tram. And they're like, don't do it. So
strongly encouraging.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take the advice this time. And so I did take the tram down. Anyway, back to...
Did that hurt your soul?
It was, yeah, because, I mean, look, it's crushing. Like,
yeah.
That downhill's a lot, and it's hard, don't get me wrong. But it's like, I did all the uphill. I was still feeling good physically.
And you love downhill.
I do. Downhill's my thing. I do. I like it. To me, that's kind of the mental aspect of it, right? And I move pretty quick going downhill, and I'm just focused on the next step. And, I just get really dialed in when I'm going down. So yeah, I do love the downhill. So yeah,
Those Rangers didn't know that, man. They didn't want to have to do a rescue, and they've seen enough.
no, for sure. They got a tough job on their hands, no doubt.
But that led you back to coach.
Yeah, that's right. So then, I saw Coach up here, and I'd been chatting with him before I did it, my initial one. And he's like, hey, I'm going to do this in a couple weeks. He's like, I really would like you to go do it with me. And I want to do, he's like, now you have some unfinished business up there too. So you're just leveraging that, right? And I'm like, okay.
And it's a couple weeks, you said.
Yeah, a couple weeks later. So I was feeling good. And
so it was only a couple weeks after you had done the...
Yeah.
So you were going to do it that fast. It was going to be that fast of a turnaround.
Yeah, well, I wasn't planning on it, but then, Coach started asking me about it, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Like, sure.
That sounds hard. I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, and it's the unfinished business piece, right? He got me with that. That was clear. And I think the last one that he did, he didn't finish as well. So it was kind of both of us going up to, prove to ourselves that we were going to do it, right? And so, that was fun. We drove out from here and started. I think we hit the trail at 1 a.m. And
well, see, that's the thing. I have to stop you because I know this story a little bit, and I'm going to fill in some blanks here because you were going to use you got one of the Canyon Elite packs from us, our hiking packs that you were taking on this. So I was over at your house helping you with that or dropping the pack off or something, and so I knew your plan because it was that day. You were leaving that night, and you were telling me that you'd been up since 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yep.
And you guys were going to drive starting at 6 or 7 o'clock that night and get there, and you weren't going to stay. You were going to start immediately. And I was like, wait, what? You're going to start after a full day, a drive to Palm Springs, which is 3.5, 4 hours from Phoenix, and then you guys are going to start what people call the most difficult hike in North America without any sleep.
Yeah. Yep. That was kind of the plan, right? And so, look, that was kind of Coach's plan more so, right? Because
sounds about right.
He was going to nap a little in, the afternoon, and I'm not good at, my sleep is not that great, and I just knew that wasn't going to work and kind of busy. So I'm like, hey, look, let's give it a shot. And look, on that one, though, timing is big, right? Because you got to get up out of that desert. It was hot.
This was probably May, right?
Yeah. And so we had
already too hot.
Getting there. Getting there for sure. And so, we had to hit the trail early. And so I was all in. I'm like, okay, we're just going to do this thing, right?
So you get out of the car 1 o'clock in the morning and you start?
Yep, that's it. We stopped at a gas station out there, around midnight, whatever, 11:30, and had some coffee and kind of got our packs geared up and everything, and went there and just hit the trail, man. And it was an awesome hike. It was great to spend that much time with Coach, and we made a great team, I think, doing the whole thing, keeping each other going. And, it's funny, everybody's got their own kind of methods and things, and that comes out on those hikes too, right? Like, especially nutrition. That's a total personal thing. And we're complete opposites on that, right? Like, he does his ketones and different things, and he's dialed in with it. And, me, it's like, hey, I want my sandwich at the top of the mountain, and, I want my fruit and my things. So, but anyway, yeah, it was a great hike, and it was a challenge. It is, right?
But you guys ultimately pulled it off. I was going to say rim to rim to rim, but cactus to clouds to cactus. So you got back and you got your vengeance, so to speak.
That's it. We did it. We finished. I think it took us a little longer than we initially anticipated. Not crazy, but it was. I don't know if it was getting dark. It was just getting dark when we got back to the car, right? And so that was an interesting one, because when you're coming back down, you can see Palm Springs from quite a ways away, and so it feels like it's close, right? And you're like, oh, we're making progress, but it's still a long ways away. And so there's a little mental toughness there as you just kept going down, and it's like, oh my God, are we ever going to get there? It's downhill, but it's still it gets brutal.
So this was 18, 20 hours? What did it take you guys?
Yeah, it must have taken us close to 18 hours, I would think.
That's big. How did that compare, do you think, to the R3?
I think they're pretty equal, as far as difficulty goes. They're just a little different, hitting all that elevation at once going up is a challenge, but the R3's got more miles on your feet too, right? And so I think they're just different difficulties, but Very similar, doing the full Cactus to Clouds to Cactus in R3, I would think.
So in between all this, Steve, you and Arnie successfully complete that. So you did Cactus to Clouds, you did Cactus to Clouds to Cactus. You said how long after?
Oh, I think there was a couple weeks.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks maybe.
And where
3.
was the R3? You did your second R3 somewhere around here too.
Well, yeah. So like I wanted to. So the North Rim was closed with the fire stuff and all that, right? And so that's why I did the initial Cactus to Clouds, and then Arnie wanted to do the Cactus to Clouds to Cactus. So it's like, okay, let's do it. But I wanted to do another R3 because, look, the first one was a challenge and it didn't go as good as I wanted it to. So I had some, I needed to go redeem myself in my own mind at the canyon. So once that opened up, I mean, that was kind of my plan. It wasn't like the immediate day, but I wanted to be ready to go when that opened. And so it wasn't long after that I went and did that. So yeah, I mean, I think that was 7-8 days after I did Cactus to Clouds to Cactus.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're talking, okay, let's do the timeline here. Over a 3-week stretch, you did Cactus to Clouds, you went back and did Cactus to Clouds to Cactus, and you did rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon over about a 3-week span?
Yeah, it might have been close to 4. I don't know. I had a couple weeks between. But yeah, I mean, it was.
Wow.
And the Cactus to Clouds to Cactus and the R3 were for sure 7-8 days apart. So that was that was pushing it, like.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. How did you feel on that last R3?
I felt great.
You still felt great, even
yeah.
after all the pounding you'd taken on those Cactus to Clouds.
Yeah,
adventures.
I mean, my feet were hurt. I mean, no doubt. Like, I had to stop and tape them up, but I knew enough to take care of them, right? So, but physically, other than that, I was doing really well.
Listen, man. I mean, I'm gonna have to say that if you stop and think about this, what you accomplished over those 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, and let's say over a 1-month period, I wonder how many times something like that has been accomplished before. That's an incredible accomplishment, and it speaks so loudly to all the work you've put in and everything you've done. And I don't want to say transformation. I don't think it was a transformation for you where you lost a bunch of weight and you were this out of shape dude. You were in decent shape when you started all this, but you still became something that you hadn't been before. And this kind of validates and shows, holy cow, what we are capable of.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude.
No doubt. A lot of work, but look, anybody can do it too. I mean, the first time I did black, man, my goal was just to make it to the top, period, right? And stopped a bunch of times. And then the next goal was make it to the top without stopping, not a time thing. And you just keep progressing and doing more. But you're right, it's nice to see the kind of reward of that, right? And that's where I want to get to, and where fortunately I feel like I am, is like, hey, look, if somebody says, hey, I want to go do something that's hard in R3 or whatever it is, then I'm like, okay, I can do it. Like, yeah, maybe you need to rest, maybe you need to train a little, but it's not out of the question. It's like, okay, let's go do some hard things, right? So,
I mean, you're ready to do it at a moment's notice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at
cool,
that point
man.
now, so it's good. It's a great feeling for sure.
And
I mean,
do you really believe it that anyone can do it?
I do. I mean, look, there's physical limitations and there's different things. So, I guess not anyone, but I think a majority of people absolutely could do it. Now, you got to have the mental toughness to do it. The physical aspect, I think anybody could do, with the exception of, certain limitations, right? But the mental piece, I don't think everybody has that, or that they're not willing to, fight mentally to do it.
But
right?
they have it in them.
They do.
Right? I think everybody has a why in there somewhere. And if you can tap that and then hold yourself accountable, I mean, great things are possible.
100%. You nailed it there. It's like you need to absolutely tap your why. Why do you want to do it, right? Do you want to be like Larry when you get older and be able to travel the world and continue to do things, or go on your hunting adventures, or, whatever it is, pick up your grandkids, right? And enjoy life. What's your why? And then, once you have that in your head, you'll be driven, and you could do it. It's one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, right? I mean, it's just that slow progress that really builds quicker than you would think. There's more out there. Like I said, I never thought of the canyon. Never at all thought of hiking the canyon until you guys started talking about it, right? And so there's more stuff. It's just what's next.
That is Steve Martin. Now, it is easy to get competitive with certain people, but not so much Steve. He's just the nicest guy, and you can tell that he roots for everyone and stays very humble. But now you know there is also a fire burning within. He just knows how to channel it better than most of us do, maybe. Now, he is such a good guy that he texted me after our interview and said, "Hey, man, I really wanted to talk more about your pack," which I, of course, appreciated. And it is an honor that Steve does use our hiKin Canyon Elite exclusively now. He had it for that entire Triple Crown of the 2 Cactus to Clouds efforts and his R3, and reports that the pack has performed flawlessly. And for a guy that loves the downhill as much as Steve does, I know he appreciates how little bounce he feels on the pack as he descends. We do appreciate those comments, and if you'd like to try a Canyon Elite like Steve, or our original Rim to Rim pack, which Coach Arnie and I use, if you want to try those for yourself, you can find them at hikin.club. That's hikin.club. All right, Coach Arnie time now, and our exercise physiologist and canyon coach is sticking with the theme this time.
Hey guys, Coach Arnie here with another Grand Canyon tip of the week. This week is a big favorite of mine, the downhill. Why? Because the canyon is about the downhill. First, let's look at some mechanics, okay? From the ground up, the feet, strong feet, are a must over time. The anterior tibialis, as we're working our way up, saving the calves, preventing foot and knee problems over time. That muscle runs from the ankle to the knee. Super important because it dorsiflex the foot, which absorbs pressure from the foot as we push on our way down, absorbing all that energy coming downhill. Hip flexors as we move our way up. These strong hip flexors, which cross the hip joint, they saves the knees. It provides better posture with our pelvis, because our pelvis has to move front to back, side to side. It has to be mobile, flexible, and strong. All right. Now let's talk about the dance. This is putting it all together, which is balance. And balance is related to your strength. So over time, the stronger runners, hikers, individuals will have more durability going downhill. It's just the way it is. The more durable you are, the more impact you can take, and then you will be less apt to get injured. Now let's look at the next thing, which is super important when you're going downhill, is focus and mindset. You've got to be focused on what you're doing. You can't just be willy-nilly. You can't be unfocused. You got to keep your eyes on the trail. You got to see things. You got to look for potholes, uneven terrain. You got to be aware. Your feet have to be, you got to be ready to move. You got to have good eyesight. We do a drill called the GOAT drill, which helps us to multitask. So that we use visual, cognitive, and vestibular for balance, okay? So what's in it for you? So when I mean you, it's just most people aren't running, crazy downhill like I do. I love it. It reminds me of before I did Cactus to Cloud a month or so back. I went with this gentleman who is he is out of control. He's the guy that went with me, and I said, "Let's go, just push me." And I set my fastest time ever on Black Mountain just following him, but he was going so fast. All I could do was focus on the next step. I couldn't even think about how fast I was going. I just had to focus on the next step and maintain posture. All I told myself is stay balanced, posture, mindset, focus. That's all I kept saying. And at the end, it was my fastest time ever. So you got to stay focused, okay? So what's in it for you? Less stress on your body, more energy for the uphill, and that's probably the most important thing. If it takes less energy to go downhill, you're going to have more energy to go uphill. But a lot of people that I talk to at the canyon, they get wiped out going downhill, and they don't have a lot going uphill. So we want to flip that. We want to have more energy for the uphill. And we want to hike pain-free. That's super important, don't you think? And lastly, we want to finish with a smile on our face. That's what this is all about. So you learn the dance, you get strong, you focus on the downhill so that you finish with a smile on your face. I love you guys. I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you later.
Yes, in case you were wondering, the guy he was trying to keep up with on that downhill, yes, it was Steve. Coach Arnie Fonseca Jr., his contact information, as always, is in the show notes. Hey, find us all on our Hike Club Grand Canyon Facebook group if you'd like to continue the conversation. We all hang out there every day, and you've got a whole community ready to help with whatever you need. So much experience in our Hike Club Grand Canyon Facebook group, so get yourself in there. All right, that is it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step. Embrace the journey. And when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and savor every step in the magnificent Grand Canyon. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, powered by hiKin. Support the brand that supports this show at hikin.club. That's HIKIN.club.